Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to day 16 of my 31 days of horror in October. Doing a whole marathon of reviews, like I said before in previous other reviews for this marathon. Been reviewing one horror film per day for the month of October. Now this is day number 16, so this is review number 16. And of course, like I said before, I've been reviewing some of my personal favorite horror films of all time, whether it be classics, obscure ones, remakes, underrated gems, or even more recent horror films, things like that. Now we're getting on to another one of my personal favorite, more of the more recent ones. This one's actually, I think, 12 years old, I think, this year, which is crazy to believe. It came out back in 2006. And that review, of course, you can tell by the title, is on Slither. Now, Slither was a film that was, like I said, released in 2006. Written and directed by James Gunn. Way before Guardians of the Galaxy and all that stuff, he directed this film, Slither. And James Gunn has also written a couple of other films as well. He also directed that movie called Super with Rainn Wilson, which is a really fun film as well. But Slither, 2006. It's basically an homage to the old 50s B movies, things like that. Basically, you have Elizabeth Banks and Michael Rooker, who are a married couple. Michael Rooker goes out one night and with this other woman, and they see this thing on the ground that came down from space, and it gets into Michael Rooker, and then Michael Rooker starts to change. He starts transforming into this really disgusting looking creature with all these tentacles and things like that. And basically you have the local sheriff, played by Nathan Fillion, who's investigating all these unsolved murders that are going on, because like there's dead animals and things like that. And it comes to this whole point where Michael Rooker is this gigantic creature, and these little slug things. This is not in the movie, but this is just like what these slug creatures look like, even on the back. But these little slug creatures are the offspring of the main creature, who's Michael Rooker. And in order to kill off the main creature, in order to kill off all the slugs, they have to go kill Michael Rooker and stop him. So basically, you have Elizabeth Banks, Nathan Fillion, and you also have the mayor, played by Greg Henry, and another girl joins them as well. I'll get onto that in a minute, but Slither is really one of those films that I've always enjoyed ever since I first saw this film. I remember seeing the trailers for this when it was first new, back when it was on demand, right around like late 2007, because I remember like this was in 06, and I remember seeing the trailers for this on demand like in mid 2007, something like that. I remember seeing a couple of TV spots for this film too, and it just looked like one of those really cool homages to the 50s B movies. And I think this film does a good job of being an homage to those kind of movies. It really does feel like a really good throwback to the old cheesy B movies from the 50s. It's got a really 50s B movie kind of like premise with all these like sluggish creatures and things like that. The film's also got a really good sense of humor as well, especially Greg Henry's character, who's the mayor. He's easily the most biggest comic relief of the characters. And of course, James Gunn and Michael Rooker would work together later in Guardians of the Galaxy. So, who plays, I think, Yondu in the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the Michael Rooker character in Guardians of the Galaxy. But of course, it has a very solid cast across the board. Nathan Fillion is the sheriff. Always been a fan of Nathan Fillion. Elizabeth Banks is really good in the film as well. She's Michael Rooker's wife. Of course, you know, Michael Rooker is always good in everything. I mean, Michael Rooker is an actor I really do enjoy. You know, Mallrats, Cliffhanger, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy films. I mean, Michael Rooker is always good. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Michael Rooker. Greg Henry does a great job as the mayor. And of course, you also have a small appearance by, you can see right there, Jenna Fisher, Pam from The Office, has a small role in this as well. And I think James Gunn did a very good job directing this. And like I said before, getting onto one of the scenes where one of the girls, a girl joins this group of people when basically her family gets taken over by the creatures, and basically this scene here, it's not like all these creatures, but like one of these slugs gets into the bathtub and it goes inside of her mouth, and it almost takes over her brain, but she manages to pull it out just in time before it does, and the rest of her family is taken over, and basically Nathan Fillion comes and saves her, and she later joins up with the group. And that's another thing too. I think James Gunn really got a lot of inspiration from Night of the Creeps, because if you really think about this kind of plot, it does have a really very total vibe of Night of the Creeps, where it takes over your brain, like these creatures go inside of your mouth and they take over your mind and things like that. This is, I feel like in a way this is not only to an homage to like the 50s B-movie horror films, but it's also an homage to Night of the Creeps, which I know that James Gunn in an interview said he didn't really know anything about Night of the Creeps, but this really is pretty much an homage, at least to me, to Night of the Creeps, which is a good thing, because I really do enjoy Night of the Creeps. And I think Slither does a great job at that, and I know this film didn't do that well when it came out at the box office, but I know it's done very well as has a pretty big following nowadays, and even back then. But and of course, there's a lot of really cool like rogue sequences in this as well, especially this one scene where they find Michael. Some of these people find Michael Rooker, who's already transformed into the creature, the full creature, and he has the tentacles and all that stuff. You have that really cool shot where he flicks one of his tentacles at a guy, and then you see like the guy gets split down the middle. That's a pretty cool sequence. And another cool sequence, and probably one of the more memorable ones for me, is when basically the woman that Michael Rooker was out with the night, he got into a fight with his wife. She's missing, and then the people, like the cops and all that stuff, find her in this barn, and she's like really huge, and then they're like, oh, they're tearing me apart, and then she explodes in CGI, and all these little slug creatures come out of her. Some people get infected when it goes into their mouths, some people don't get infected, things like that. And some other cool sequences too, especially, you know, because I can't say much more about Slither without giving too much away about anything else, because I don't want to like say like every cool scene that happens in this film. But I feel like Slither is a really good homage to the 50s B-movie horror films. And if you like those kind of like throwbacks to like those old cheesy B-movies, I say you have to give this one a look. So it's very solidly directed, very solid cast. It's got some good gore. It's got CGI effects, but I think they're pretty good. Has a really fun sense of humor, especially with the Greg Henry character as the mayor. And you know, it's just a really good homage to the 50s B movies, and also a good homage to Night of the Creeps. So I'm not going to say much more about Slither. If you haven't seen Slither, I say give this one a look if you want a nice throwback to the 50s B movies. So that is pretty much it for my review for Slither, and thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Alright guys, take care.